Hello everyone and welcome. In this video I would like to show you my Ford Probe and the Supercharger modification which I've done so far. For those who have already seen my first video and know the modification and the car, this is fine, but I received a couple of questions regarding this project, and before we get into detail of that, let's talk about the basic stuff of this car. So this is my 1996 Ford Probe. It has a 2.5 liter V6 naturally aspirated engine inside. It has the engine code KLDE, has 163 horsepower, 213 Newton meters of torque, and has 100,000 kilometers on it. So it is basically stock, just a little suspension and rims, and also the fuel pressure is a little bit higher than normal, but just some naturally aspirated tuning. So, about my motivation and why I decided to start this project. I own this car now for more than 10 years and I really love the shape. It's a very nice coupe. With the suspension mods it also handles well, but to be honest, it needs to perform a little bit better, as 163 horsepower is not that fast actually. So I have always seen those YouTube Supercharger videos from America and I always wanted to do this. Now, once before 1 year I've seen a Supercharger eBay kit and I wrote this guy, and actually it was for a Mazda MX-3, but he said that he has done an KLDE engine swap on this Mazda MX-3. So that was the point where I decided to start, as I have the same engine, so this will fit anyhow. And yeah, I'm pretty happy to show you this. It actually looks very different, and now let's get into detail. First of all, I would like to inform you that this project is not done at all. As you can see, my intake of the engine is completely wide open and still naturally aspirated, and the compressor here is just blowing the air into the direction. So, but this one I will explain later. First things first, we had to bend this air conditioning pipe to the right. As you see, it's normally located here, and it's also located here where my finger is, but this is now where the pulley actually sits from the pulley shaft, where we get this belt to the right and the entire supercharger here to the right. This is only possible as I have relocated the entire battery and stuff to the trunk. You guys who know this car knows that here you normally have actually no chance to locate anything. So, as we have bent the air conditioning pipe to the bottom, we had to get more space into the front direction. So this means, you can see it, normally this cooler sits more in this direction, so we pulled it to the maximum in the front direction, and then I also made this very nice ceiling here and those brackets, which I redesigned. Yeah, they actually not the nicest, but they do their job and keep the cooler tight in place. Next thing was that we needed to exchange the pulley of the alternator. So maybe you can see it here. It's a little bit hard. Maybe I will make a drawing next time or something. So this belt here normally doesn't exist, as the pulley of the alternator is the last pulley in the system, and now we of course added this one here. So the pulley is completely changed, as it has a different diameter and also no rims on it. So this means it drives just the rear side, the flat side of the belt. As I have reinstalled the alternator, we are using a completely different bracket. You can dispose the stock bracket, as this pulley shaft also provides a completely different mounting. and also longer bolts, of course. For the right side of this pulley shaft, we are using 2 holes of the mounting surface of the starter engine itself. So you can use here the stock bolts, they are long enough to keep this everything. For the supercharger itself, we have 3 main mountings. One, which is here and goes down to the starter and use exactly the same mounting surface as this one. The second is this one here, which goes to here and then down below to the main mounting of the engine. And the third, which we unfortunately cannot see here, as it's underneath the supercharger, which goes to the gearbox. The installation of the supercharger is a little bit tricky. As you can see, we got no belt tensioner here at all. So this means you just need to install these brackets one after another, and you definitely need a mate or more than 2 hands to do this. So next point is, and I'm sure that some of you have already noticed, that I'm not running any intercooler at all. You can see my air filter here, which goes directly to the supercharger. So this is not a problem, as I'm just running 5 psi of boost in this setup. The specification table of the Eaton M62 says that at 5 psi of boost, the maximum delta temperature is just 37 degrees Celsius. For safety and monitor reasons, I installed 2 temperature sensors. One before the supercharger and one right after the supercharger. As you can see, it's already not installed. So why it's not installed? I can now tell you from experience that this setup with the stock ECU and the stock mechanical air mass sensor will not work. The reason for it is that even at idling, the supercharger makes more pressure than the naturally aspirated engine can handle. So normally, I know this, of course, you have these blow-off valves, they do both open. It's a typical supercharger application, even when idling they are open, but there's still enough airflow to press this sensor inside, so that the stock ECU is thinking you're driving at full throttle even when you're idling. So this means the engine is running totally rich. To run this setup with a supercharger connected to the intake of the engine, you definitely need an AF sensor, or even better, a map sensor, which goes to the free programmable controller like the Megasquirt, for example. I will go for a Megasquirt, and of course I will make a video as this is running, but for this time I just would like to show you how the supercharger sounds. I can just show you the sound of it, as we got no increase of horsepower here at all. It's just a setup, as I mentioned, it's not ready, but of course we can turn on the electromagnetic coupling here from the inside, which I want to show you now. So let's go inside. You can see already here the voltage of the car and these 2 temperature sensors and the supercharger switch here. I just turn on the engine now. It's definitely at cold temperature. You can see it from idling, and it's all not really fixed installed, as you can see. Many cables here, but this is, by the way, my Innovate MTXL Plus wideband lambda controller, which I already installed. It's not doing anything except for monitoring. So, but I think it does make sense in the setup. You can see even, I don't know if this camera will catch these LEDs, but it's definitely running. So, you can see the boost pressure, even in idling, is pretty top. yeah, I think this is enough. And if you have any different setups, like I mentioned with the map or the map sensor or the mega squirt, anything else you want to mention, or tips, hints, I don't know, please give me a comment down below. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.